Chelsea are back. Chelsea are back. Oh my goodness. Now, they're back, not because they made the Champions League and because they made it to the... That's all well and good. Chelsea are a good team. I think everyone knows that. But what we've just gotten finished watching from this game, it's not just Chelsea being a good side. That's a real statement to the Premier League. That's a huge statement that this season, this little love triangle between City, Arsenal, and Liverpool over the last 3 seasons of all 3 of them competing for the same crown, there will be a 4th contender this season. I'm fully convinced of it after what I've just seen tonight. I mean, it's been a brilliant tournament for Chelsea, as since that Flamengo defeat that they suffered on the second match day in the group stage, they've gone from strength to strength to strength. But that right there, that game, that's a statement. That is a real statement that Chelsea FC are back. They've just won the Club World Cup, and they've done it in a resounding manner, man. Seriously, to beat a PSG side that over the last 8 months, we've all been fawning over, we've all been drooling over, raving about them. The best side in world football, the best side since maybe Barca 2011. Wow, that's a masterclass we've just got finished watching. A masterclass from Chelsea, and more importantly, a masterclass from Maresca. Enzo Maresca got everything today spot on. And I think we looked at this game, right? We looked at how good PSG are tactically in terms of how they all know their roles so well, how comfortable they are in their system. And I think we all thought to ourselves, if Chelsea are going to get anything out of this game, Enzo Maresca has to coach a hell of a match. And to give credit to Enzo Maresca throughout this tournament, I called him the other day on The Zone. I said, for me, he is the manager of the tournament, because there isn't a manager that every single game comes in with a different game plan. He has an ace up his sleeve for every single opposition he comes up against. We've seen numerous different setups from Chelsea this tournament. We saw Cole Palmer playing off the left one time. Then he's playing off the right. Then he's playing as a 10. Cucurella has played inverted as a left back, almost as a left winger in possession at times. Reece James playing midfield today. He's played right back at times. We've seen Pedro. We've seen Delap. We've seen Jackson. We've seen Neto on the left, Neto on the right. Enzo as a 10, Enzo a little deeper today. We've seen so many different setups from Chelsea, whether they build up in a 3, whether they build up in a box 4. Maresca's a genius. Let's call it what it is. He's a mad scientist. I'm not saying he's the best manager in the world. He's a very good manager. But in terms of tactically, the guy's a genius. Seriously, I'm convinced of this now. The way he's able to cook up a system to combat whoever he's up against, no matter who he plays, yo, you have to be impressed. You have to be impressed. And to do it against PSG, it was one thing doing against the Brazilian sides that he played against. It was another thing to do it throughout the Premier League season. But this PSG team, wow. I asked Cam the other day, what is it going to take for somebody to knock this PSG side off their perch? And I'm not trying to basically say PSG are washed now. They're not going to do anything next year. They're still going to be a very good team. But I think they've been punched in the mouth today. And I think a team has finally exposed them in areas that they can be exposed. I don't think a single team has really done it as well as Chelsea today. But I asked Cam, what is it going to take to really knock this PSG side off their perch, stumble them a little, which is what Chelsea have done today. And I think a big thing we all kind of looked at is maybe that long ball. That long ball evading PSG's initial press, because we know PSG from the front, they're the best pressers in Europe. Dembele, Doué, Kvara, Hakimi, and Mendes, they suffocate you, right? It's like a boa constrictor. But if you can just find a little bit of success in evading that press, putting it over the top, and then winning the second ball and going from there, maybe. If you can win the individual battles in midfield from a physical point of view, maybe. That's exactly what Chelsea did today. Moises Caicedo bossed that midfield against the best midfield in the world. Vitinha, Joao Neves, and Fabian Ruiz. You know that one meme of the guy who's basically got the 3 kids in a chokehold? That's Caicedo today. In terms of going long, and in particular, down Nuno Mendes' side, Robert Sanchez, who had an amazing game today, but in particular, in build-up, was so good at just straight line passing the ball over the top into the path of a Malo Gusto or into the path of a Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer dropping a little deeper, forcing Nuno Mendes to follow him. And then that space in behind Nuno Mendes being available for Malo Gusto to run into. Chelsea found success that way so many times. And that's all due to Maresca's game plan. He looked at PSG's strengths and respected them, but he looked at their weaknesses and even more importantly, thought to himself, how can we get the best out of them? And today, Chelsea have played a blinder, because from minute 1 to minute 90, they were the dominant team. We're looking at the first 5, 6, 7 minutes of this game, and PSG can't get the ball off Chelsea. It's Chelsea playing in PSG's half. It's Chelsea carving out opportunities. And you're thinking to yourself, are PSG okay? Is this the same team that we've been raving about against Real Madrid and Bayern and Atletico? Is this the same side? Chelsea made them look like kids today. Made them look like kids. I'm so impressed, man. Honestly, I can't remember the last game that had me this shocked Maybe it was PSG in the Champions League final, but I can't remember the last game that had me this stunned. This was domination. So many players deserve respect, but honestly, I want to start out with Maresca because it's a manager that came in at the start of the season, and on match day 1 against City, Chelsea fans were booing him. Pundits were wondering, is this guy just another Pep disciple in disguise? Is he just another Pep wannabe? People mocked him. But notice how confident and steadfast he remained in his approach all season and into this Club World Cup. He's a manager of character and he's a manager of ideas. And I'm a big believer that you need both of them to work out at a big club. It's not enough being a good tactician. You have to have a little bit of charisma, a little bit of character to you as well too, a little bit of steel. And there's no doubt that Maresca has that in bucket loads, man. This was a performance for the ages, and Chelsea fans will be looking at this game. I know people still have these question marks over the Club World Cup and how legitimate it is of a trophy. Make no mistake about it. This is a big win for Chelsea. Not in terms of just the silverware. It's a huge trophy to win. And in terms of Chelsea, silverware will always be the main thing. But this is a real statement to maybe even the rest of the world, but definitely the Premier League, that if we were looking at Chelsea in a little bit of a cute way the last few seasons, especially this last year, like, oh, they're back in the Champions League, it's good to see. No. This is a statement, in my opinion, to all the big clubs around. Liverpool, City, Arsenal. Next season, watch out for Chelsea. Last year, they gave us a little teaser. They maybe cosplayed as contenders for a few months, and then they kind of fizzled out. This year, wow. Joao Pedro, what an inclusion he's been. 2.5 games he's played basically for Chelsea. Can anybody tell? Looks like he's been playing for Chelsea his whole life. The 2 performances from the start that he's put in against Fluminense and today, up against Beraldo and Marquinhos, pressing the life out of them, having to sometimes basically occupy the entire defense by himself because Chelsea were trying to get men up the pitch. His hold-up play was fantastic, we know that. And then the finish on top of that, oh my goodness. A work of art. A little dink, putting Donnarumma on his ass, dinking it over the keeper to make it 3-0 to Chelsea. Wonderful, man. Cole Palmer. I tried to tell you guys, why on earth would you ever want to see this guy play on the left-hand side of the pitch? He goes from a decent to good player on the left to a world beater on the right. He goes from a decent to good player on the left to one of the best players in the world on the right. Do you see what I'm talking about now? When he has those angles available to him, when he can receive it on his left and cut inside, drift out wide, beat players on the outside as well too, slot players through, finish on his cultured left foot, receive the ball in the half turn and immediately run at goal with his left foot. Why on earth would you ever want to limit this guy to the left-hand side? Why? Unbelievable, Cole Palmer. And the 2 finishes, wow. Donnarumma has no chance. Donnarumma has no chance whatsoever. And the first goal, right, I think perfectly encapsulated Chelsea's game plan today. Cole Palmer dropping a little deeper. Robert Sanchez looking down the line, attempting that pass over the top to Malo Gusto, who, credit to Maresca, by the way, didn't play him in midfield today, didn't invert him, just told him, be an old-fashioned fullback, damn near a wing-back at times. And yes, he gets a little bit of fortune because Mendes should probably deal better with the ball over the top. He doesn't, it skims off his head. Gusto receives it into space, but give credit to Gusto. Did really well to maneuver a half opportunity out of that, cut in, played it into Cole Palmer's path. And I mean, Palmer, it's just so smooth, man. It's so calm. He's not shooting it with much power. He just guides it into the far post, man. And the second goal, he gets it, cuts in. I think was it Joao Pedro or Gusto who took a man away from him to kind of open up the space. To be honest, PSG's midfield probably should have tracked him a little bit better. Ruiz, I don't know where he was, but again, Chelsea just create a half a yard of space for Cole Palmer. And if you give that guy half a yard, he will take a mile. He'll take a mile. What a player, man. 2-0, then he gets the third, slots it into Joao Pedro, who again finishes it over the top. And at halftime, 3-0, it's over. It's game over. And it could have legitimately been 4. It could have been 5. Chelsea could have easily destroyed PSG today. And it's a shock. It's an absolute shock, right? Everybody thought PSG would win this game, including myself, by the way. I'm not trying to pretend like I'm above that. I thought PSG would win. I never, ever thought PSG would destroy Chelsea, like some people were saying, because they destroyed Real Madrid for a reason. They're a mess tactically. They're trying to figure it out under Alonso, and I think eventually they will, but they're a mess tactically. Chelsea are not a mess tactically. You can criticize Chelsea for certain things. Do they have enough quality in certain positions? Could they do with better players, maybe at left wing, maybe at right center back? Fair enough. But tactically, there is no getting away from it. They are wonderfully coached, and they're wonderfully prepared for any kind of team that comes up against them. And today was no different. So I thought PSG would win this game 2-0, 3-1, 2-1, but never, ever 4-0, 5-0 like I was seeing some people predict, man. I don't see this Chelsea team actually getting beat badly by any team. I just think the way Maresca has them set up, they're too organized, they're too structured, and they're too well drilled. I give massive credit to Pedro Neto. tracking back Hakimi as much as he could, dragging the back line as much as he could as well too with his pace. I thought he did a really, really unselfish job today for Chelsea, and I think he's been one of the star players in this Club World Cup. And I'm happy to see it because I was a big fan of Pedro Neto at Wolves. And I think last season was really, really difficult. But if this tournament is anything to go off, I think next year he will have a massive bounce back year for Chelsea. And Reece James in midfield, some people have questioned whether Reece James should be playing in midfield. On the basis of today, I thought he did an excellent job. But I think the guy you have to give all the flowers to is Moises Caicedo. Now, a lot of people think I'm a critic of Moises Caicedo. A lot of people are adding me right now saying, say sorry to Moises Caicedo. And I'm not a critic of Moises Caicedo. At times, I've been harsh of him. And I think last season, I was too quick to jump the gun when I said, I don't know why Chelsea spent that much money on him. And I'm a little biased in that sense because I'm consistent with it. I just don't think defensive midfielders should ever go for that sum. It's not a Caicedo thing. Maybe it's a me thing. But one thing I was too harsh on Caicedo with recently is on SDS, I said, I don't really think Caicedo is elite at anything. I think he's good all around. I think he's a good midfielder. And you know what it is, right? Do I still think he's elite at... Okay, he's probably an elite ball winner. And he's very, very good at playing through the lines as a defensive midfielder. But over this tournament, right, I've looked at Caicedo and I've had to reanalyze my analysis. And that's fine, by the way, right? I'm not perfect. I appreciate everybody who says, you know, ball or whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm a human being. So if I get things wrong, I'm willing to hold my hands up. So me saying Moises Caicedo, I don't think is maybe... You know when you look at some midfielders, Vitinha, I think in terms of setting the tempo, he's elite at that. Declan Rice, in terms of carrying the ball, he's elite at that. Rodri, in terms of all around, I think he's elite at everything, right? Kante was elite at ball winning. Caicedo, I feel, is like an 8 out of 10 in everything, which is amazing, by the way, right? If you're a midfielder, you want to be well balanced. But you know who was also very, very similar in that sense? Maybe he didn't have one elite trait to him, and it's probably why he gets underrated these days, but he was the most important player on a team that won so much. Guys, that was Roy Keane at Man United. Roy Keane was the guy at the heart of Man United's midfield who wasn't as gifted a passer as Paul Scholes in terms of his long-range passing. He wasn't as gifted a dribbler in tight spaces like a Juan Sebastian Veron. He wasn't as dominant a defender as Makelele, right? He wasn't as physically imposing as Vieira, for example. But he was an 8 out of 10 for everything when it came to Man United. And he never dropped below that any single game. And in the biggest games, he held himself accountable. Moises Caicedo is Chelsea's Roy Keane. And if anybody thinks that's a diss, first and foremost, you don't know ball. But secondly, that's the biggest compliment I can give him. Moises Caicedo is indispensable to this Chelsea team. He is the heart and soul of this Chelsea team. So Moises Caicedo, I apologize. I called you a very good player. No, you are an elite midfielder. There's no getting away from it anymore. And we always look at players, especially in the biggest games. What are you made of? To do what he did today against Vitinha, Joao Neves, and Fabian Ruiz, he didn't let them breathe. He did not give them a second to breathe. At times, he's even tracking back Ousmane Dembele, who's dropping deep to receive the ball. The guy was everywhere. And then, like I said, maybe his most underrated trait is his passing through the lines. But Moises Caicedo is a freak, because here's another thing too. Throughout this tournament, he's played with Lavia, he's played deeper with Enzo, Correa has played inverted next to him, Gusto has, and today he's played with Reece James. The partner next to him is consistently shifting. He's the constant in that midfield. He's a top player. He's a top player, man. And today, I think this is really like one of those performances that you will go on to remember, man. Because at the end of the day as well, too, guys, you judge players on the biggest games. Moises Caicedo just dropped a masterclass against the best midfield in the world. I have no choice but to hold my hands up and say, yeah, we got it wrong. We got it wrong. You're elite, bro. You are world level. Moises Caicedo, take a bow. As for PSG, where did it go wrong? Where did it go wrong? I did think PSG didn't play with the typical intensity that we're used to. In midfield in particular. We know from the front they're going to press, and I think Chelsea actually combated that press very well themselves from the front. Palmer, Neto, and Pedro really forming a 3-man press at times to lock PSG in and block those passing lanes into Vitinha's feet. PSG's attack pressed, their defense, they did what they did, but in midfield, I think is where they massively lost the duel. I think they massively lost out compared to Chelsea. And I think it is a bad day at the office for them, but I actually give way more credit to Chelsea and Maresca than I take away from PSG, to be honest with you. I really think this is one of those games where Enrique, he just got outcoached. I think Maresca had too much for him. Now, I think it is alarm bells, right? Because Chelsea have maybe shown a chink in the armor for PSG. That right there is somewhere where teams can kind of hurt them. And I think Arsenal showed it in glimpses a year ago. Aston Villa, Liverpool, they showed glimpses that you can get at this PSG team. But none of them showed over 90 minutes dominance like Chelsea did. So maybe this is, it's a red flag. It's a red flag, and it's something that Enrique is going to have to kind of iron over, right? He has his perfect shirt. There's a little bit of a crease. He's got to iron over it. He's got to find out a way that if these two teams meet the next time, PSG, that flaw isn't available for a team to expose anymore. That's up to Enrique. But I think today, honestly, is more about Maresca and Chelsea than it is about PSG. People will go on to say now, oh, PSG, we overrated them. Told you they weren't as good as you guys thought they were. Come on, guys. They've just had practically a perfect season, and it's a bad day at the office. I'm not ready to kind of throw PSG over the ledge yet, right? But Chelsea, I'm ready to make sweeping statements. And I'm going to come out with a video soon in terms of a whole tactical analysis on Chelsea and why I think they are the team to watch out for in the Prem. Not as my favorite, but in terms of dark horse, in terms of teams that you have to keep an eye out for. I'm making a video on Chelsea because today it has been absolutely fascinating. I'm going to get into it more from a tactical point of view because I think today it's more so about the story. Chelsea today are back. They're back. They're back to being a big player for big competitions. And I think next season, watch out for them. One last thing I want to say, PSG, I thought the way they kind of behaved towards the end of the game and even during the game, I thought was pretty embarrassing. They lost their heads today. Clearly, they were not expecting to be punched in the mouth like they were, and they didn't know how to react. And at times, some of the tackles that they were putting in, some of like the little lashing out that they did at times, just out of pure frustration, because they haven't been figured out in a way that Chelsea did today. There's a way to lose, there's a way to win, and they've been gracious winners. They've been very, very happy to collect all the praise in the world. But when you lose, you have to lose with class as well too. And the way PSG reacted towards the end of that game, and especially after full time, Enrique pushing players. His reaction I thought was embarrassing as well too. He's been a class act all season. But PSG, bad losers today, man. Chelsea, ridiculously good. And the first winners ever of this new format of Club World Cup. Now, if we're going to talk about the Club World Cup in general, has this tournament been a success? I think it has. I think it has. Now, people will say I'm biased because I worked on it. And it's been an honor, by the way, to work on it from start to finish. It's the first tournament I ever cover the way I did. But I think it's been a very, very successful tournament in every way you want to look at it. I think it gave a huge spotlight on teams outside of Europe. I think the Brazilian teams in particular were an absolute joy to watch, and they really took some of the heavyweights in Europe to the sword. I mean, think about it. The only team Chelsea lost to this entire tournament was Flamengo. They're a great team. Botafogo beating PSG. Al Hilal drawing to Real Madrid, then beating Manchester City. That's what this tournament was kind of meant to do. Give a platform to the sides outside of Europe to shine, and they took that opportunity. Mamelodi Sundowns, I know they didn't get out of the group. They played some of the best football at this tournament from a purist point of view, from a neutral point of view. I thought this tournament was great. Some of the fans as well, too, outside of Europe really showed out. I thought they were the best fans at the tournament. We saw an amazing PSG team. We saw a Chelsea team go under the radar. We saw glimpses of the new Real Madrid under Alonso. I think Bayern, until Musiala's injury, were really looking interesting as well, too. I really enjoyed this tournament, man. Really. Maybe my one criticism is in terms of the fan attendance, and I don't blame the fans. I think I blame the timing of the games because you can't expect fans on a Monday at 3 p.m. to fill out a stadium when it's Chelsea versus LAFC in Atlanta. That doesn't make any sense. So maybe that it needs to improve ahead of the World Cup next year. And I think the heat at times was a killer. You saw at times teams with their bench inside the dressing room because it was too hot to sit outside. But in terms of what this tournament represented in terms of footballing quality and in terms of really giving the untraditional big sides outside of Europe that spotlight, that chance to show the world that they can play too, this tournament did everything it was supposed to do and more. So I've been a fan, and I'm hugely admirable of Chelsea at the moment. Wow. Take a bow, everybody affiliated with the club. Chelsea fans, enjoy your afternoon, enjoy your evening, and enjoy your summer. But this season, I'm expecting big things. Like, share, subscribe. Let me know your biggest takeaways of this game, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Peace.